Ready to rock and roll for reading. We are up to the reading component of watching, reading. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Maude, joined by Trisha Hershberger and her beautiful Triforce necklace. I love it.
That I live in. I swear it's like I rarely ever take it off because it matches everything. I actually got this bomb Witcher sigil necklace for Mother's Day because this is the relationship my husband and I have. And I put that on today and I was like, oh, it sits a little low on this shirt. I'm going to go back to my Triforce. But I, no joke, have that conversation with myself every time I put on a necklace. Is that I'm always like, you know what? I'm just going to go with the Triforce all the time.
Yeah, I think I'm the kind of person where if I'm going to wear jewelry, if I put it on, I'm not going to take it off. So I just got mine permanent. We are joined by Mari Takahashi, who is an amazing, wonderful fellow creator in the space. If you're not following her new Twitch channel, you should be because she's just started streaming, and that's pretty awesome. But we're going to talk about what you're reading, and one of the first things that you said, Twitter and Reddit. So you are just all over them socials, and I'm going to challenge you. What are some of the things that you've been finding out on Twitter and Reddit that's caught your eye?
I mean, on Reddit, let's see.
What are your subreddits that you follow?
The ones that offer any sort of reading, although it's not substantial, is TIFU, which is Today I Effed Up. It's nothing substantial. It's usually just funny stories where people have found themselves in awkward situations and whatnot, just spilling a little bit of tea from their life, and a lot of the times it's anonymous. Let's see.
I kind of like that. I like normalizing sharing when you stuffed up, because that means that you're admitting fault. And I think more people need to harness the fact that we're not all perfect and we can do things wrong sometimes, and to kind of just be like, whoop, I fucked up.
Yep. 100%. 100%. I love that you took something so trivial on my end and you made it deep. Thank you, Maude.
That's what Maude does. That's how she do. Okay, so that's
cynical though.
And I also have to say, Mari, I love that you were able to keep it positive, because if someone asked me right now what I'm learning from Twitter and Reddit, I would be like, the world is on fire. That's what I'm learning right now. So thank you for keeping it positive as well.
I mean, that's there, but it's also, there's the silver linings. It's on fire, but we're all in it there together, and we're all figuring it out.
We're on fire, but it's getting just a little toasty. That's all. It's just a little toasty.
Well, no, but instead of just the single dog in the room saying this is fine, it's just a lot of dogs.
Yeah. But you know what? This is sometimes when my brain becomes positive. Isn't he holding a cup of coffee? That's all you need. That's all you need. If the world's on fire and I got a cup of coffee, then I'll just take a sip and get through it.
And he looks quite fashionable too, because I think he's got a top hat on.
Got a little hat on. Look at his stylish pooch just running through goals, really? I'm jealous of the dog all of a sudden and his
dressed and got his coffee.
You've also been starting Sandman. Now, I really wanted to have a chat with you about this, mainly because I wanted to listen to it on Audible. So the first question I have for you is, A, what's it about? The second question, is the narrator good?
Yeah, so it's off of Neil Gaiman's graphic novel, Sandman. And I'm very, very early on. The narrator is great. And it continues to sort of put you into this sort of dreamy, ethereal sort of world, talking about it. And yeah, I in Neil Gaiman I trust. I know that he oversaw this, and most of the times when Audible has their exclusives, the person behind it or the author usually has a good handle on how it is presented on Audible. So I think they've done a really good job so far on Audible, to be honest.
Because this was a comic book, it is a very famous comic book series. Has Neil Gaiman then fleshed it out completely and made it a book?
I don't know. I don't know about that. Sandman was always a graphic novel series that was on my I gotta read that list, and I never did. Which is one of the reasons why I'm glad that I can consume it in this way.
Yeah, and that's always such an interesting conversation. Then when you talk about taking a comic book or a graphic novel and turning it into an audible book, an audiobook, because there's inevitably so much of the storytelling that is done with the graphics and with the art that you would miss out on if you're only taking that. So, I mean, in the audiobook, from what you've heard so far, is there a lot of narration kind of explaining that stuff? And I feel like that's kind of what it would be, Maude, when you asked, like, have they fully fleshed it out to make it read more like a novel? It almost seems like that would be necessary to translate a graphic novel to audiobook form.
Yeah, it reads like a novel. It does not read like a comic book series, for sure.
That's cool. I'm actually looking at, I'm doing a little bit of a Google, and on the wiki for the Sandman, something that's really cool is that it's one of the first few graphic novels ever to be on the New York Times bestseller list. And it's one of 5 graphic novels to make it into Entertainment Weekly's 100 best reads from 1983 to 2008. Awesome. So that's like the 25-year chunk there. And came in at number 46. I don't know why I haven't read this, but I think I'm going to do the audiobook. And they're saying that in 2013, Warner Brothers announced that they're going to be producing a film adaptation of the comic book with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
It dropped out in 2016. And then it's being developed by Netflix.
Okay.
And then I just Googled the audio version that we are talking about as well. I haven't heard all of these actors come on just yet, but these are some of the actors who are on this audiobook. James McAvoy. We all love James McAvoy.
I love
Kat Dennings, Taron Egerton, Michael Sheen, which is fantastic. Michael Sheen back for another Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
Riz Ahmed. I haven't seen Riz Ahmed do anything since Rogue One, but
The Night Of.
Oh yeah?
The Night Of was a series that he did. I pretty much watched it on one flight, the entire first season. It's this guy, I think he was dropping something off to a girlfriend, but then walked into the apartment, realized she'd been murdered, and then he got arrested for the murder. And it shows his time in the prison system, trying to be represented by a lawyer that knows that he's also innocent, but seeing how corrupt and how sort of like defiling the criminal justice system is and what it's like being in prison. And over time, he turns into this really innocent sort of like tech kid to being a full-on sort of like key player in gang-related drug dealing and murders within the prison scope.
Wow.
Super intense. It's really, really well done.
I love the roles he takes, and I know he's been very vocal about why he takes certain roles and why he doesn't take certain roles. And as a Middle Eastern man, like he's had to deflect away from taking so many of the roles that were given to him early on in his career, which is terrorist number 5 and really negative ways of Middle Eastern men being portrayed in media. And so it's really cool that the projects that he has chosen in his career. And then Andy Serkis is also another actor.
Awesome.
Who is voice acting in this.
I think I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to buy it. I've got 2 credits. I'm in.
I have 7 credits available because I haven't gotten anything new since I was driving, and we've been in quarantine for so long. So I'm just going to have to use up some of my credits and add Sandman now. Thank you, Mari.
We can all talk about it in a couple of weeks.
Trish, if you need recommendations for anything, I am your girl. I've got
perfect. I need both recommendations and an extra 6 hours in the day each day. Yeah, and then I'll be all over these new books. Because all my listening time was driving time, because then I can multitask. And now that I'm not driving anywhere, there goes my listening time. But you guys have questions for us, so let's bring in Amy for Bombs Away Q&A. Hi, Amy. Welcome back.
Hi. So this one is from Patreon, patreon.com/geekbomb. This one is from Nathan Swap. I will also be getting one from Twitch, so get those ready. What nonfiction books are on your list to read?
I can show you. I've actually got Audible open right now because I was trying to buy the book. But one of the books that I have bought recently, which I'm really excited to... 1,053 people. There it is. Indeed. Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria is one of the books that I have bought. It is by, and Other Conversations About Race. It is by Beverly Daniel Tatum, who has her PhD, and it's the 20th anniversary edition. I did a lot of research about what would probably be the most effective for me, and this kind of like starts in childhood and how that's where we sort of first learn about systemic racism and the impact racism has. And then as you grow up, how that then evolves and affects. And just to kind of learn and have conversations about race. So that is a big one that I am really excited to get into. And I usually don't read or listen to nonfiction, but I obviously figure like I got to stop escaping and I got to start a living and facing it.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
What about you guys?
I've always really enjoyed books by Malcolm Gladwell, but I haven't read a Malcolm Gladwell book in a long time, and I know he came out with one last year, and it's called, and I'm looking at the wiki, it's called Talking to Strangers, What We Should Know About the People We Don't Know. And it studies the miscommunication, interactions, and assumptions people make when dealing with those that they don't know. And I think that's really interesting considering the times that we live in, and, you know, whenever we see Twitter trending and there's more tea about somebody out there that, you know, most of us don't know, but there's a lot of talk and a lot of chatter that happens around it. What it does to us, you know, in our psyche when we hear these things and then, you know, like chew on it and understand it, what it does. And I've always enjoyed the way that he studies, just because I feel like he really gets in there and has so many different case points. So I like his books.
That's awesome. Yeah, the one that I haven't read that I want to read is Michelle Obama's book. I hear that there's a lot of really great sections in there about dealing with stress on a marriage, like outside stressors. So obviously she was dealing with the stress of the job of the presidency and first lady, which I in no way am trying to compare what we're dealing with. But being in a quarantined household for this long with a toddler and having two people trying to work full-time careers at the same time while taking care of a toddler 24/7 has put a lot of stress on us in different ways that we never saw coming. And so I feel like I might have a lot to learn from somebody else's experience kind of in that realm. So that would be my nonfiction book that I want to check out.
She also has a great documentary on Netflix, which talks about her doing the book tour for Becoming Michelle. And she touches on, I only saw like a little bit of it, but touches on sort of like what it is like being the wife, and, you know, her kind of going, it was a really big role and responsibility for me, and all of the torment and trolling and incessant sort of like negative bullshit that was thrust upon her all the time just for existing. And it was comparisons of previous first wives and the treatment that they got and the treatment that, you know, her husband and she was getting being Black. And it was like, you know, big points and cases. Like, a lot of people didn't know she was tutoring Barack. That's how they met. She was his tutor. She was the smart one. Like, obviously he was very brilliant as well. I'm pretty sure she went to Princeton, and it was talking about how she was one of the few handful of Black students at Princeton, and constantly needed to sort of like
Fascinating.
validate herself and her existence there as well. And I thought that was really incredible. And like more and more, when I hear her, she's such a role model. And her big thing is doing book clubs and teaching young women that they are important, that they can break through sort of like the systemic hardships and succeed. So I'm really, really keen to read Becoming Michelle. My mum got it for me for Christmas last year. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Mama.
Yay. That's awesome.
Great question, though. We got one from Twitch?
Yeah. Yes, so this one's from Dante Bogdan. Have any of you ever thought about writing a comic book?
No.
I have not, because I have enough friends that do it, and I know how hard it is to get off the ground every step of the way, and I have so much admiration and respect for my friends that have self-published comic books or, you know, done it from the indie ground up. Same thing with my friends that publish tabletop games and, you know, really trying to do anything yourself, which is the world that we live in now, thanks to YouTube and Twitch and all of these digital content creation platforms, that you no longer need to know someone at a major studio to get your work out there. But doing it yourself does mean that you need to do every part, every aspect of building it yourself. And it's such a huge undertaking. So, I mean, if a friend reached out to me and said, hey, I've already got this all put together, would you like to work on this comic book I'm making? Yes, 100%. I would jump at that opportunity. But for me to start out of nowhere and just be like, let me build this thing, I don't know that I would have the energy or the patience to do that.
Mari?
I think it's you know, it's been a fleeting thought, but it's also one of these things where it's like, I want to do this without understanding what goes into it. I remember, gosh, must have been 7, 8 years ago. I did a photo shoot for this like concept character, and I was like, oh man, all I want to do is just make this into a graphic novel. You know, didn't, of course, but it's also, you know, having these sort of like fleeting, like big ideas without really understanding the undertaking of what it takes to create something like this. So yeah, the thought has been there, Dante. The execution has never been there.
And in saying that, I kind of want to shout out Sam Basher, who's in the midst of writing a comic book at the moment, DJ Wooldridge, who has put out a comic book series, Zombie vs. Dinosaurs, I think it's called. Don't quote me on that, but that's basically the premise. And Steve Zaragoza, who teamed up with the friend Brett Riviera, who also put out a comic book as well. Like, it is an undertaking, and I don't read comics, so like that's not really my platform or forum that I would want to explore in a creative sense. But people that have done it, I mean, I'm giving you a shout out because you're amazing. Good on you.
Yeah, Jason Inman and Ashley Robinson and their Jupiter Jet series, like they've now done a few versions of and a few releases of. It's just, hats off to all those people because it is not a small undertaking in any way, shape, or form.
But thank you so much for the amazing questions. And Mari, thank you so much for joining us on this week's edition of Power Up. Really,
thanks for having me.
For people to follow you, where can they find you all over the webs?
You can follow me you can find me at Atomic Mari everywhere. And then if you have a Quibi, find my show Speedrun alongside, of course, Maude's show as well.
You!
Yay!
They're part of the Daily Essentials series, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Daily Essentials.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Daily gaming, daily streaming. The stuff that we do every day now that we've got all this time. Please don't punch me, Trisha. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. We are going to button off here and we are going to record Power Down. And again, that is a perk for $10 and higher if you want to get access to that one. But until then, be well. Trisha, when are you next recording and streaming?
I am next streaming this evening, actually. I have a charity D&D event raising money for No Kid Hungry that's going on tonight at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and I'll be hosting it on this Twitch channel, but the Twitch channel that it's actually airing on will be Geekly Inc., and I'm joined by B. Dave Walters and Erica Ishii and some other lovely folks in the industry, and I know every single donation gets to impact the adventure in one way or the other. And so our task that we need to do is push a lemon cart up the hill. And I think everything that happens from there is going to be donation driven. So it's going to be hilarious. And that's tonight and tomorrow at the same time. So please check it out. That's the next thing I'm doing that's live. How about you, Maude?
I want to sleep.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And then after that, the next time I'll be live on this channel. So tonight and tomorrow night, Charity D&D, and then Sunday morning I'll be live on this channel for more The Last of Us.
Oh, I will announce though that I'm taking steps into making Fungeons and Flagons season 3. So button up your ball sacks for that one, people. I don't even know what that means. I just said it. What does that mean?
I don't know. It's a thing. Do it.
I know, but Amy's cringing at me, and I earned that. All right, guys, thank you so much. Make sure you're following Trisha's Twitch channel. Make sure that you are following and subscribe to Geek Bomb. Make sure if you want to listen to this in podcast form, maybe you've only just tuned in and you're like, I like to listen. We have a podcast as well if you just search Geek Bomb. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yay! Thank you, everybody. And for those of you here in chat, thank you so much, Star by Heart, for the resub. Welcome back to the Dragon Riders. You're amazing. Welcome to the new followers who are here today as well, Al Shark and Lord Coyote 2000. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in live to today's episode of Power Up. Again, a huge thank you to Mari Takahashi for being an amazing human being. And yeah, go follow all the people, all the places. And if you're a Geek Bomb Patreon, we'll see you on the after show. Okay, bye everybody.